Okay, so for the last part, we'll look at two important things. Basically, what you're doing is you are comparing the size of your map. So like one of these squares, you're comparing the size of the map to size of real life. And since you now know what the real life thing is in terms of these sticks, the I don't know what it is, you're basically creating a ratio that relates the size of this square to how many of these it is in real life. You're just creating a ratio. You can do this with any unit of measurement, but I just wanted to make it weird, so I use these to make you think. Anyway, so let's look at some important information here. Sorry, I keep clicking around. Things you need to know. How much does each square represent? So we just talked about that in the last video. One square equals 6.4 of those sticks. So I'm going to write that. Represents. I'll put square rep. So 1 square, I'm going to use equal because the pen issue. 1 square equals 6.4 of those sticks. That's how many it's going to show. I'll put that right there, that equal sign I'm just using to show that represents it. Okay, and we're going to also need to know how big is square. I'm abbreviating square here. Okay, so, oh, that's this one. So I'm going to highlight that. We've already determined that the square is 1/16 of the I don't know what it is. So 1 square, and we can actually, equal is just its actual thing. Equal actually means equal here. 1 square is equal to 1/16 question marks. So now what we want to do is we want to compare what we have on our map to what it is in real life. So 6.4 of these. So, and our map, we're making something that's smaller, so use the smaller. The rule of thumb is if you're making something smaller, use the smaller number first. If you're making something bigger, use the bigger number first. So we're definitely making this smaller because a bigger hallway would just be too much. So we're going to put 1/16, a ratio, which if you've watched my silly video, you know that means divide, but it also means to compare to, whoops, 6.4. Oh no, you got a fraction and a decimal. That is really no big deal because, you know, calculators. You don't need to convert this. Let me show you why. Remember, this means divide. Lazy person's parentheses, or efficient person's parentheses, means multiply. I want to make this 1/16 into one whole. So it'd be 16/16 is what I'm going for. So I'll put the 16 up here. Also notice they cross out. What you do to one side, you got to do the other. So I'm going to put it up here, 1/16. So this is just, again, just parentheses right here. You can ignore all that down there because it just means over 1. So basically, where's the calculator? Okay, so you just multiply these. So you're going to have 16 times 1.6. 25.6. It's easy enough. So therefore, you get 1 ratio to, what was that, 25.6. So that means whatever units you use, I could be using inches, feet, miles, kilometers, chupacabras, who knows what. For every 1 unit of measurement on the map, every 1 unit of measurement on the map represents 25.6 in real life. And we could write that as a fraction. 1/25.6. Yes, I know your math teacher's having an aneurysm right now, but hey, guess what? In physics, that's okay. If you really want to get picky, you can do this. If that just is too much for you to handle, 1 divided by 25.6. I'd say 0.4. Or 0.4. This is your scale for the purposes, okay, depending on what field you go in later on in life, or whatever you're doing, these terms can be interchangeable or not matter, but for our class, I'm going to set this up as a convention, which means something everyone kind of does. This is going to be called the scale. and we're going to call the number the scale factor. All right, hope that helped.